Unscripted.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another podcast of PD and PDubs Unscripted. Great to be with you again, PD.
Good to be with you, PDubs, here on this beautiful fall day.
Oh, it's been a winter.
It's been a winter.
No,
winter?
Not with a T, a winter.
Okay, I thought you said winter at first.
No.
It has been a winter because we were talking about that at car line today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And last couple days have been really glorious. And
yeah, like this.
Boy.
If we could have winter like this year round.
We could have winter?
Winter here. That would be just awesome.
That would be great. Yeah, I think a lot of people would get along with that big time. So no snow shoveling, nothing.
Right.
You know, no cold. You would like that.
I would
because
like that.
You're highly averse to the cold.
Highly adverse to the cold is right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so we're enjoying some good fall days.
Good fall days and getting ready for winter, and hard to believe Thanksgiving's next week.
Wow, that just kind of snuck up on us, didn't it?
Well, as we talked about, was it Gathering Place we were talking about it, where this is the second earliest date that it could be, November 23rd.
Right.
And we get cheated out of it next year being on the earliest day. Because of that leap year.
That leap year thing.
Pesky leap year every 4 years.
Who made up the leap year? What's the deal with that?
Okay, Jerry.
What are we leaping to?
Man, what other impersonations do you have that
They're all in there, and you don't want to know. No, it's scary.
Do you have an impersonation?
Scary.
I wonder,
it's bad. Scary.
I wonder if you have an impersonation of me up in there.
No, I don't have one of you.
Okay, just making sure.
Nope.
But yeah, you got your Dana Carvey as President Bush, but you're kind of doing
that sounds scary. Yeah,
not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. No, sir.
Gathering Place. We heard your Neil Diamond.
Yeah, September morn.
You
got that 2 days in a row.
You got your Jerry Seinfeld.
Yep.
You had your Cookie Monster in church on Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah, I really got you there.
Got me there. Yeah.
So.
I was thinking. I bet you could do a good Stanley Steamer, because I always was thinking you're about to chuckle like a Stanley Steamer there.
Yeah.
His little chuckle that he has.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Stanley, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a while for Stanley.
Well,
Stanley
you do a really
Steamer.
good Stanley Steamer voice.
What's that?
You do a very good Stanley Steamer.
Thank you. I enjoy listening to Stanley Steamer, and so
right.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is a good guy. So, fun times here, reminiscing about all the wonderful voices that P-Dubs can do.
Yeah, it's a good thing I got a radio voice and how's that go? I got a radio face
And a voice for
a voice for whatever.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so I don't know. I was thinking this morning when I was getting ready, I was like, what should we talk about here today? Because that's always a big thing to try to figure out what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Look behind the scenes here, that sometimes we struggle to figure out topics.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was thinking, with you getting ready to go hunting in a few days.
Yep, I do the annual deer hunting trip.
So I started thinking, I was like, I wonder if there's any lessons from the deer stand, or like things you've learned while waiting up there, or devotional thoughts that you've had when you've been sitting up there. Because I know you said I think you bring your Bible sometimes. Or
yeah. Like there's been times where I've brought my Bible up there trying to get inspired for when I come back for Thanksgiving Day. So certainly in that regard. When you're out in God's creation for as long as those days, and it's about 5 days that I go, and you're there from sunrise, before sunrise to just at sunset. So, you come in for lunch or whatever.
So you're out there from like 5 a.m. to like 5 at night?
Well, if I were maybe like opening morning, I'd be out there like, if I could get out there by like, 5:30, I'd feel pretty good about that, because sunrise is right around 7.
Okay.
So, it gives you opportunity to get to where you need to be while it's dark. And then you sit and you're quiet and you don't hopefully disrupt much. And so you become part of the woods. And then when the sun comes up, then, all of the animals awaken. And so that's when you hope to find, a big buck just kind of moseying along.
And then how late are you out there till?
Well, so Sunset is lately around 4:30, and it's an interesting thing in Wisconsin. Depending on where you're located in the state, they have a whole mathematical equation based upon what region you're at, that you can stay out maybe 12 minutes longer after sunset.
Okay.
But then the next day it might be 11 minutes longer than sunset, or 10 minutes. So as the days go, it gets shorter, or maybe it's longer.
So you're out there for like 10 hours and come back.
If you never came back in for lunch. Yeah. I mean, which I always do, because, you gotta
keep your stamina up.
You gotta have lunch.
But man, I just can't imagine just pretty much being out there for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Being still.
Trying to be still.
And quiet.
And there's times where, like, you get kind of tired of sitting. So you're like, all right, I've been sitting for X number of hours. And you're like, all right, I'm going to walk around. So you'll walk around the woods, and you'll walk a little ways, and then you'll kind of stop, look around, stay there for a little bit, and maybe walk a little bit more. Or then you'll find a place to sit after a while. Or you go visit your fellow hunting mates at their,
but that seems,
tree stands.
That feels like it'd be dangerous that the talking would get a little too loud and keep all Bambi and Bambi's friends away.
Well, the interesting thing is on that, here's a lesson from the deer stand. I've probably seen, enough deer while someone came to my stand to talk to me, like, hey, how's it going? What are you doing? Seeing anything? All of a sudden they must hear, and then they kind of bolt sometimes. So it's had opportunity where that has been effective to see some, like.
Okay.
But, it happened last year. So I walked up to my nephew and his son, where they're in this enclosed, hut, up high and on a big wooden deck that they made. And I'm like, and these guys, they're enclosed, when they want to shoot, they open a little window and.
That's not real hunting.
I know, come on. Am I right?
That's not what I grew up hunting
that's right.
In the 0-degree weather.
You got that. You got to be out there in the elements.
We're hanging onto the tree in one arm.
That's right. And there's no, heat.
And I had no scope on my gun. It was just that lovely eyesight.
So anyway, I go up to them, and they open up the window, like, hey, how's it going? We're talking. And all of a sudden, right behind their thing, jumps this deer. And he was maybe 30 yards away. But he was laying down in some long grass. And none of us were looking that way.
He's sneaky.
Sneaky. Oh, yeah. Sneaky devils. But that deer jumped up so fast and was on the move like that there's no way I could have gotten my firearm up to do anything. So it was just like, there goes one. And there's this song. It's called the 30-Point Buck.
Okay.
And if you're from Wisconsin, it's by a group called the Yoopers.
That sounds like
yeah, and they talk like this,
are they from like the UP there?
Upper Peninsula, the Yoopers. And they talk about the 30-Point Buck. And they got to get a 30-Point Buck. You probably don't want to play this. Cause,
I'm not going to play it here. Because
it's, probably not, church approved.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's not bad, but there's some things in there. It's.
Now, I was looking up my favorite band from Wisconsin, the Kenosha Kickers.
Oh, yeah. Is that what Del Griffith was in, the Kenosha Kickers?
Close. It's Gus Polanski.
Gus Polanski.
Which is John Candy's character from Home Alone.
Oh, okay.
When he picks up Kevin, or the mom.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
No, the Kenosha Kickers, the polka band.
Yeah.
John Candy. What a great actor.
Yeah. So there's this phrase in the song from the Yoopers, the 30-Point Buck, and it goes like, and he talks about, my cousin from Illinois. He said, look, and there he was, gone. And that's kind of a good description of sometimes when you see deer, you're like, look, there he is. And then he's gone. So that's quick. How fast.
They're quick.
They're very fast. So they're not like, without they have stealth. They have quickness.
They're not just dilly-dallying around.
No dilly-dallying. That's a good word.
I know, isn't it?
Dilly-dallying, yeah.
But I bet if they dilly-dallied, you could get them a lot easier.
You could. And sometimes, it's just a lot of it is there's some element of luck, because but there's things that you have to pay attention to, like which way is the wind blowing, because their sense of smell is very good. So if you are, if they're coming and you're downwind and, so like the wind is carrying your scent, they'll sniff you out from pretty far away.
Well, that's why I've heard like some hunters, what they like to put their clothes in so it has a more deer smell. I don't think the deer urine thing would be what I'd want to have my hunting gear in.
Yeah, there's that. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll bring all of our gear and we hang it out on the clothesline the day before, so that the air gets at it and it gets all the human scent off. And then there's like this spray, not the deer urine spray that you were referring to, but there's a spray that kind of neutralizes that, so you can spray your coat and all that, and so it gets all of that off. And so we do that. So most of us do that. The doe estrus is to attract the buck. And so because the buck has a good sense of smell, he'll key in on the estrus and hopefully come your way. And you surprise him. So you're not a doe.
So you're almost like the Elmer Fudd dressing up like the girl bunny.
Be very, very quiet.
See, I just knew you'd have an Elmer Fudd
hunting wabbits. But yeah, so like there's a lot of lessons in the deer stand. Patience is one of them. I'm like, when I was first starting with this at 17 years old, I was not a patient guy. I was moving around up on that deer stand, making all sorts of noise because I was bored. Oh, was I bored? And like it can be boring.
Right, because I was like, when you were talking, I was like, man, I'd almost want my phone with some like TV shows download that I could have AirPods in or listen to music with AirPods. But I was like, well, I guess then you wouldn't hear the deer moving around, which is probably pretty essential.
Yeah, you got to use your ears.
That patience, that comes into like our life of faith. That sometimes we got to be patient as we wait for the Lord. And maybe there's times where you're patiently waiting for that deer and you wonder, is he ever going to show up? And kind of like our faith with the Lord.
Right. And here's one from last year. I'm like, I am not going to go in at my normal noontime lunch. I'm like, I'm just going to wait a little longer, because, I've seen it where we have trail cams and sometimes we'll check a day later and we'll say, well, look at that. At 12:15, there were 3 deer that went past my stand. Where was I? I was in for lunch. So I think they're tuned in like to our movements. So last year I was like, I'm going to wait. And I waited and waited. Nothing. I come back an hour later. There is foot tracks. There's all sorts of things in the snow. Like it was like a whole crowd came. And I didn't have a deer camera there, so I really couldn't see if anything came at such a time. But I was like, I did not see that when I left. So something came like between the time I left. And I was trying to be patient and wait. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. And then sure enough, something came. So,
that patience, and that's, not just in hunting, but in our life of faith. And maybe we move on too quickly with something, and then we're like, man, we missed out what God was really doing.
Yeah, right.
Just as you missed out on those deer. Because you could have got your second buck in the time that I've been here.
I could have. Yeah, who knows what it was.
Maybe it was a 20-pointer.
Oh, the 20-pointer. Oh, you're getting me excited.
30-pointer.
To 30. Yeah, the 20-pointer ain't as good as the 30. But, Man, I'll take a 20.
Do you get that Wisconsin accent? Are you going to be preaching that on Thanksgiving Day with the Wisconsin accent?
No, I don't think so. Maybe if our church was in Wisconsin, I might, get that accent going.
You up there with all those uppers, those UPers?
The Upers.
The Upers.
Yeah, hey there, yeah. And so, and then, like, what other lessons could I learn? Also, like, it's another patience one, especially when you're very, like, when you're very excited. So like, let's say you shoot a deer and you feel like, okay, I know I got him. The worst thing to do is after you shoot them, is to quickly get off the stand and start chasing, because they're the type of animal who will run miles and miles and miles, even wounded. So, and they will take you everywhere. I mean, we've been on tracking runs that have been at least a mile or two sometimes, and through the thickest, swampiest stuff. But you're like, I have a wounded animal. I can't let go of it, so I have to find it. So what I've learned is if you just wait, and then when you think it's still, you got enough time, wait, because then when you come down, the more likelihood of is that after it was hit, it will go to a spot and it will lay down and it will expire. So that, that there's no pressure on it. So yeah, that whole waiting is kind of a big thing.
Right, and it kind of reminds me, I'm trying to look up the Bible verse where it talks about that idea of like waiting before you go into battle, like counting everything, kind of making sure you have all your ducks in a row. And that's kind of what I think you're getting at here. And that's a good lesson for life. Before we just rush into whatever it is,
right?
Let's take that time to talk to God and kind of make sure everything is ready for us to go.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about being ready, and I think of like almost like make sure you've got the full armor of God. I guess I could go with this. It's a bit of a stretch, but like, when you're getting ready to leave the house, you want to make sure that you have a compass in case you get lost. You want to make sure that you have some kind of either book of matches or a lighter of some kind in case you get lost late at night and you got to make a fire of some kind. You want to make sure you got some candy because,
get hungry.
You get hungry up there. Just need a little snacky snack.
Is it always candy?
I usually do candy. Sometimes there's like beef jerky or something.
What's your go-to candy up in the deer stand?
Snickers.
Snickers?
And Kit Kats.
How about some Mountain Dew?
No. I try not to bring, because you got to open up the can and it goes, and that echoes.
True.
It's just a one-time thing, but then it gets a little, I have brought cans, but they get a little noisy. But so I'll usually bring bottled water, but then even an empty bottle of water, then it gets all crunkly.
Right. You almost need something like this.
Something like that. Yeah.
Even though that can have the little
Yeah, that's not so bad. But I have brought Mountain Dew out in the past. I probably don't bring. I might on occasion bring a can of pop, but mostly it's water.
Okay.
And so it's like, make sure that you have all your gear. Like, that when you're out in the field, you're not without. So you got to make sure you're well prepared.
Right.
And so like you armor up. So, and you don't want to, you don't insert your bullets into your firearm. There's a lot of safety elements.
Right.
Okay. So one of them is, when you're getting ready to go, you load up your gun as you're walking out to your stand, but you don't put one. If you put one in the chamber, you got to have your safety on, right? So that you can just pull it back and shoot and not make a noise. But then when you're climbing up your stand, it's more advisable to empty your gun. It's safer.
Right.
And then we usually have like a rope with two little knots, and we tie the firearm on there. And so it hangs on the rope, and we go up, and then we pull the firearm up that's empty.
Right, you don't want the accidental gun going off.
Right.
See, I think that's what precludes me from being a deer hunter is like my fear of heights. I'm not going to climb up into no deer stand.
Yeah, you would not be, yeah.
I'd be like, how do I get down from here?
There's some that are not that high, but you could sit on, a lot of times I bring a bucket with a swivel seat on it, and I'll just set that at the base of a tree and sit on that on like a hill. So you get a little overlook. But most times you're up in a ladder.
I want to see in a full gully suit.
Yeah, that would be fun. But it's blaze orange, so everybody can see each other. That's important.
Right.
And that's the other thing. Know where everyone is. so that you're not like randomly shooting things. And here's the other one, along the safety. If you're going to shoot, you have to look past your target to see what's past your target, because what if you miss?
Right.
So it's like, if you see some orange past your deer, you should not shoot, because that bullet will keep going.
But you're a deadeye. You're deadeye PDubs from what I hear. That
No.
when you shoot, it's one shot and it takes down that deer.
No, so there's a lot of safety things. And another one is like if you're walking with somebody and you're crossing a barbed wire, never cross a barbed wire with your firearm. So it's like you hand it off to your partner and you go under the barbed wire so you don't get caught. And then you get to the other side and he hands you yours and his, and then he comes through.
No tossing those guns.
No tossing. Yeah. So,
but even that, like you're talking about the safety, like, and it's not to limit your fun of being able to get the deer. It's a safety, just kind of like God's laws. People think, oh, God's laws are trying to limit what we can do, our fun.
Right.
But it's meant to keep us safe, protect those relationships in our world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's to watch out for each other and, to have a fun, safe hunt. And that's a big thing. So, so those are some of the safety things, or make sure you have the right gear. Like that armor of God and all of that.
And like we were talking a little bit, like this week with being a little warmer, are you going to be wearing as warm as clothes, or do you have like a cooler hunting attire?
Yeah, you do. And you could layer up. Like the mornings are going to be crisp, but so I was just thinking about it today because I have this full suit that's pretty heavy.
Oh, I've seen that at some drive-by communions and drive-through community meals.
And then I put a big jacket on top of that, and then that gets to heavy.
Are you like the kid from Christmas Story?
Yeah, Robbie.
Is it Ralphie's little brother?
Yeah, Robbie.
Is it Robbie?
I think it's Robbie.
And he's like, I can't put my arms down.
I can't put my arms down. And so you want to layer up, because like invariably, and that's where going in at lunch is good, because by then it's getting warmer and you can swap out and get a little bit more, a little less of the clothing, and then you can manage the rest of the day.
Right, and you can restock on your Snickers.
Of course, yeah, because it gets to the afternoon.
I guess you probably don't want chips either up there because it's the crunchiness.
Yeah, anything crunchy is not good. But what else can I say about that? I guess.
I think one thing that seems to be, which can tie to Christianity, is that fellowship.
Yeah,
that's an important part of this, because I know you've talked about deer camp, but what stays at deer camp stays at deer camp.
Yeah, and you have good times.
So we don't need to know the details, but the importance of that community that you have,
bonding. Yeah, and I've said it before, and I've had it happen a lot. Where if I don't see a deer or I don't get one, I still have a good time because I've had that community time with my family and bonding that we don't normally get. And so that's a lot of fun. There's a lot to say. The one thing that I do like to tell people about when going out in the woods every day for as much of the day as you're able is that you soon begin, in this world, we, in our day-to-day life, we have a schedule and we have tasks, and like, we know what we're going to do. So it's like we almost order our day, right? So we are almost like in charge of our day, kind of. Well, when you go out in the woods and you're just sitting there, you realize soon that you are a part of a world that exists and happens every day, whether you're there or not.
Right.
And, your presence does alter some of that movement a little bit, because, you're a predator. But then you also see what the rest of the animal kingdom is doing, of which you have no participation in, but you observe. Right. And that's where I find it most fascinating to see God's creation in action. Like I've had these, I'm a bird lover, so I love these. I've had these they're called black-capped chickadees. And they look like they're wearing a black mask, and they're gray. And they make a little bzz, bzz sound. And they'll come in groups, like at a certain point of the morning, round about, I want to say it seems like around the 10 o'clock hour, there's always a group of chickadees that come by where I'm at because I'm in pine trees.
Okay.
And they buzz around where I'm standing, and they'll be right like feet away from me, and just going for like whatever they get out of the pine tree, maybe pine cones or seeds or whatever, and they're doing their little bzz bzz, and they're hopping around doing this or that, and so I enjoy that because I don't get to see that often.
Right. I just looked up some pictures of these black-capped chickadees.
Yeah.
This one picture, the guy's just holding it right in his hand,
Yeah.
in the palm of his hand.
I was going to say, I had one land on my shoulder once, and I was just like, you're just sitting there real quiet, and you're kind of looking down, you're afraid to move, but you want to see it.
I'd probably like freak out because I don't know. I find birds kind of creepy. I don't like birds. They're creepy
Yeah,
things.
I know. So, you see a lot of like behavioral activity from wildlife. I've seen wild turkeys walk through, and I've seen like the big tom,
Okay.
and he's got his hens, and they're going across this opening that I'm looking for to hope a deer comes down, and they realize somehow they've seen me or they've detected me, and they're kind of looking up and they're bobbing back and forth, and they're all kind of piled up together behind this tree, and they're looking at me like, is he danger or not? So one of the hens goes out, and the tom or the male, he just stays back and he lets the one, okay, she made it, and then he kind of nudges, and then another one would go out, and he's kind of looking like, what's going on up there, and then they all went across safely because I can't shoot a turkey.
Okay, that was gonna be my next.
Yeah.
Do you have to have is there a certain turkey season when you can?
Yes, certain turkey season, and you got to have a license for turkeys.
Have you ever done turkey hunting?
No, I'd love to. I tried once with a friend in Illinois, but I didn't. It's like you get the license, and then it's like a lottery. You get selected to go. We didn't get selected to go.
Okay.
So finally the male comes, and like he's just kind of doing and walking, and I'm like, you dope, like if it was turkey season, we'd have let the hens go first anyway.
He is not following Ephesians 5
No.
of a husband loving his bride like Christ loves the church.
That's right, brother. He's just like, you go first.
We'll sacrifice you.
Yeah.
Man.
And the same happens with deer, because a lot of times the doe will go out in front, and if you see a doe stop, that's how I got my 10-point. The doe stops, and if it looks behind, it's wondering where the buck is. Well, there were 3 does that were right in front of me, and they all kind of looked behind, and I'm like, ooh, maybe somebody's coming. Maybe it's the 30-point buck. And my heart starts a pumping, and I just get all excited, and my knees are knocking, and my...
Are you trying to be like Bill Murray here at Caddyshack?
That's the Yoopers. And so then the 10-pointer came, and then that's how I got my 10-pointer.
Even that, like, I think I'd almost be so excited, like, almost like forget the shooter, but like so excited that I'm like shaking.
Yeah. Oh, I've had those moments where you're like, you go to shoot and like, oh man, something's wrong with the hammer or the gun, and you're like, okay, you got to pop it out, and
almost get like the yips.
Yeah, you do, because it happens so fast.
And then after five, especially towards the end of your time up there, if you haven't seen anything all week, you're probably like, oh no, there is one, and then it's just the excitement, kind of like that pressure of like the few times I've been in a bowling alley when somebody has a perfect game in the 10th frame,
yeah,
and everybody just stops and watches. No, don't watch. If I ever get to that point, which I never will,
yeah,
don't stop and watch me.
Yeah,
let me just bowl in what I've been doing.
Yeah.
But I feel it's that same kind of stress, almost like, oh, there it is. I can't mess this up because this could be my last chance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, because it goes. You don't want to mess it up. It'll come and go quick. And then I guess like the final one, I guess I would talk about would be, just the communion time with the Lord. So like awesome quality, deep prayer time with God. Kind of just sharing your thoughts with Him continually throughout the day, and there's just this solitude, and you're alone, and so nothing to distract you other than your own thoughts, which sometimes do cloud your prayer time out there.
Yeah.
But all it takes is you begin to look at the beauty around you, and it's a quick like, wow, thank you, God, for just the blessing of being in this space right now, because this is filling my cup. It's filling me up. I feel a greater appreciation of your creation and what you've given to us to be a part of, and
as you try to kill part of his creation, but
well,
that's a minor detail.
It's herd management. It's either us or the wolves.
Okay.
Or just the cold, and
I just had to throw that little zinger in there.
So, but yeah, you had to pick on me there. But like, again, like, okay, Lord, I am a participant in your world, and I am not always in control, and so those are things you learn, but it's a lot of fun. So been doing it since I was 17. Like I said, I haven't been always.
You've only been doing it for 2 years, then.
That's it. Yeah. But I did start out with no scope, and I did get my first deer without a scope. And
that's a man's move right there without a scope.
I tell you, it was one shot. Too.
You earned your man card that day.
That day I did, yeah. But that's all I'll say about that. It was a smaller deer, though, so I kind of got ribbed by the guys. So I'm like, well, I don't care. It's my first one.
Did you keep any of that, like the head or any?
No, it wasn't worthy.
Do you have that gun saved somewhere that this?
It's the same one I use. So okay. I've since put a scope on it.
Okay.
So because the eyesight ain't what she used to be.
I was gonna say that could have been your lucky gun, but it doesn't sound so lucky anymore.
Well,
But you know how it works.
I know how it works. And I'm very familiar with it.
And so you know how to fix it in case something does happen.
Yeah. And the thing with a scope, like sometimes, depending on the weather, you could look in your scope and it's all foggy. And stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, that doesn't help.
Well, that's like paintball. When I've done paintball, when it's been a little damper, the mask starts fogging up and that. I'm like, well, that doesn't help because I can't take my mask off.
Yeah.
Because if I get shot in the face, that's not good with the paintball. So you just got to kind of see through the fog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you also gain finally an appreciation for the way life used to be when there wasn't always grocery stores that you could run to or order food from or things like that. And, it's like, once you pull the trigger and you get a deer, you have a job ahead of you to put food on the table and all of that. So you gain a greater appreciation of generations gone past, or even now. Not everybody is able to go to the store or whatever, so they rely on hunting and fishing and things like that to feed their family. So yeah, there's a lot of lessons in that. I mean, I'm glad my family doesn't rely on me to bring home a deer. we'd be pretty skinny.
Well, yeah, so thanks for sharing about some lessons from the deer stand. For those that appreciate hunting, good luck.
Thank you.
Getting Bambi. For those that don't, well, hope you don't get a deer.
You don't get anything. Hope you have fun nonetheless.
Yep, covering both sides of that basis.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I am really no threat to the deer population. Like I've said, I've made more donations yearly to the DNR than I have harvesting anything. So there you have it.
So everybody, thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. God's blessings.
PDubs, unscripted.